Guys, welcome to the Don't Mind the Mess podcast. Please don't mind the mess today. I'm in my sister's room, so you know she's messy. Just kidding. Love you. Grab your coffee, grab whatever you want to drink because today's topic it's going to be a pretty long one, and the topic that we're going to discuss today is decentering romantic relationships and why it is crucial to living a life worth living. Living a life that is your imprint on this earth and not just like, whatever the fuck. So let's get into it. There's a lot of thoughts that I have, and it might get a little chaotic, but just bear with me. Really, I want to talk about three things. We're going to cover how to recognize if you're centering relationships. We're going to cover the effects that this has on your self-perception, future, and your daily life. And then practical steps to start shifting, to start climbing out of this mindset. So, and just so you know, this isn't about rejecting love. This isn't about rejecting marriage. This isn't about saying, screw all men. This isn't about that. This is about reclaiming your sense of self outside of a relationship, outside of a man, outside of male validation, which is really hard to do because depending on how you've been socialized, it's really hard to do. It could be really hard to do because that's what we've been raised to do, to center male validation, to center this idea of being chosen, this idea of being desired. So part one, let's get into it. How do we recognize if you're centering a relationship? So here is a little exercise that I want you guys to do. I want you guys to close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and I want you to imagine your life 20 years from now. Be really honest with yourself and kind of tell me what you're looking forward to, what it looks like, what you think it looks like, what your day-to-day life will look like. And I know obviously with the topic of this video, it's going to kind of influence the thoughts that you're having right now. But if, like, for example, I had my friend with me and I told her to do the same thing, more than likely she would say something along the lines of, oh, I probably have like my career and I'd be married, I'd have kids, I'd have, I'd go traveling with my partner, hopefully, I'd be, whatever. I'd be doing this with my partner, that with my partner. But for the most part, it would center around a relationship. It would center around the idea of a family, creating your own family, creating your own unit, having your person. So if that's the case, okay, that's fine. Let's do another exercise. I want you to now take a couple deep breaths again and try to imagine yourself 20 years from now single. So this is kind of like when people say, try to live your life as if you're going to be single forever. Or just imagine your life as though you're going to be single. And tell me what it like, kind of feel it and tell me what that looks like to you. Does that seem scary? Are you blocked? Are you not able to envision your life without somebody because maybe you haven't practiced it? Are you struggling to think of what you would fill your life with if you didn't have somebody? Are you wondering if, you're going to have the friends in your life because you're not going to have somebody? Is there fear? Is fear surrounding this narrative? Is there any hint of embarrassment? Like, wow, I'm going to be 47 and I'm not going to have somebody. It's going to be so embarrassing. Just kind of do an audit and assess what thoughts are coming up. Because the thing is these mindsets, they thrive in ignorance. They thrive in you maintaining the pattern of behavior without ever sitting to think about it, really, without ever sitting to break the pattern, to influence the pattern, right? So sit with it, think about it, journal on it. And if you're having a really hard time and you're actually like, what does my life look like? Or I can't, like, this is too scary. I don't want to think about this. Or, uh, like, I'm for sure going to be with somebody. I'm for sure going to be with somebody. Like, there's, whatever. If you're having any kind of resistance, that's a pretty good indication that you're centering relationships. And that's fine because I'm assuming that like probably 90% of you are doing this. Um, and that's just the way it goes. That's just the way it is. There's no point in being angry about it. There's no point in talking about the cause because we know the cause. Socialization, society, social constructs, gender roles, whatever. We know the reasons. We know. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about is how to recognize it and then acknowledging the effects that it has on you. Okay? So, another way to kind of recognize if you are, if you feel kind of behind in life, if you're not in a relationship, if you feel like you feel less than your friends who are in relationship, if you feel that being on social media and seeing these engagement posts or proposals or somebody or what's it called, an anniversary, if seeing those things actually elicits like a fight or flight response within you and you feel like, oh my god, I'm so scared, what do I do? Like, if that's the case, there's a high probability that you are centering relationships in your life. And the thing is that this may seem like, it may seem like not that big of a deal, right? It may seem pretty malign, like this isn't that huge of a deal. Like, obviously I'm a woman, obviously, like, I want a relationship, I want partnership, it's normal to want partnership. Sure, but you know what's not normal, and what isn't good, it's not a good idea, is delaying decisions or opportunities because they might affect your chances of finding or keeping a partner. It's not being able to see yourself outside of a partnership. It's not being able to see your life, see different opportunities for your life, different paths for your life that don't require another person's presence. Because the truth is, this other person may or may not come. We're marrying for love and compatibility now. We're not marrying for whatever, right? We're marrying for love and compatibility. We're not doing it for kind of status, right? We're not doing it for money, right? And that's like a whole different thing because we are doing it for all of that. But really, because women, we are no longer willing to suck it up and just compromise for a relationship because that in the past meant survival. We're not willing to do that anymore. So we need more. But we are in this delusional, we are stuck in this delusional mindset where we think that somebody is going to come and save us. Somebody is going to come and make us feel the opposite of the way that we're feeling. Right? And this can also be like when you're in a relationship. Like, you could also center men when you're in a relationship. And you can also center relationships when you're in a relationship, which could make you fucking miserable. But what I'm talking about right now is mostly single people who are centering relationships. Because if you are, I can almost guarantee your life is, in some way, some aspect of your life is on pause. Because what's happening is you have all these aspects of your life, right? You have your social life, you have your career, you have your family, whatever. You have all these aspects of your life that are requiring attention, that are requiring your energy. And then you have this aspect of your life that is not even real. It hasn't even come to be. It's a non-starter. This person isn't here. And somehow your energy is still being dragged in that direction. when all these other things are asking for your attention and they're real tangible things or real things in your life currently that could actually make your life better if you poured more energy into them. You're pouring energy on dating apps, on situationships, on trying to convince a guy to like you, on trying to manipulate men, on trying to get something out of men, on trying to be saved, on trying to get that princess treatment. It's all a waste of fucking time. Okay? So snap out of it. I want you guys to really snap out of it. But the thing is I'm saying this on the other side of this, but I understand that it's a process. It's not a fast. It's not a quick like, oh, I'm done. I'm out of it now. It's all better. No, it's a process and I understand. So first we have to recognize the impact that it's having on us, right? On our self-perception. So obviously there's like a sense of reduced self-worth to your relationship status. When you're hanging around friends who are in a relationship, you might feel like a level below them. Like they were chosen and I wasn't. Or you can create like an internal narrative of the I'm not enough without somebody. I need to be talking to somebody or I need to be engaged in a dynamic so that I could, I don't know, talk about something with people or so that I could say, oh, somebody wants me. We think that being wanted and being chosen and being desired is like a huge deal. We think that it means something about us. When really, like, side note too, the male gaze, the male attention is infinite. Like there's never ending stream of male attention. So it's really not that precious and it's really not that big of a deal. But our view of it makes it that big of a deal, right? So anyways, that's a kind of side tangent. But eventually it just leads to you over idealizing relationships and undervaluing yourself, which leads you to put your life on pause, which leads you to not go after what you want or what you need to go after, rather. It's not necessarily what you want, because sometimes it could be very lazy. You could think, oh, I'm just, I really want to be rich, or I really want to achieve this, this, and that, or I want to like live in this neighborhood, or I want to buy this and I want to buy that. But you're not doing anything to get there because you are sitting on your ass and you're saying, I'm just going to stay comfortable. I'm going to stay comfortable where I am. And I'm going to wait for somebody. And you're not thinking, maybe you're not thinking this consciously, or maybe you are if you're self-aware, but I'm going to wait for somebody to make my life better, or I'm going to wait for somebody to come financially save me. And yeah, that is dangerous, because really relying on another person to give you the life that you're wanting is a surefire way to never get to that point, and even if you do, to never be satisfied with it. So because it can be taken away from you, because it's not your doing, it's not in your control, right? So it limits your vision. So you're focusing on this future that you have with somebody else rather than focusing on the future that you have with yourself, this future that you're building for yourself. So maybe you're thinking, oh, I want to move to, like, I want to live in, I want to be bi-coastal. Like, I want to live in California and then I want to live in New York half the year. But then you're thinking, oh, like, what if I have a relationship though? Like, that person won't be able to do that. And then blah, blah, blah. And then you keep postponing things. You keep putting things off. You keep saying, oh, but that's not realistic because I want a family. I want to settle down. So that's not really the path that I think will work out for me. But you're not settled down. You don't have a family. You don't have a partner. What are you doing? You are always going to be with yourself. You will always, to the end of the day, to the end of your days, will be with yourself, right? So it makes more sense to build a life centered around your own person than to build a life centered around another person who's not even fucking here. Who are we talking about here, right? So, anyways, I feel like we've gotten enough. We've talked a little bit enough about like how to recognize it and like what it does on your life. But obviously there's so much to say, but I want to keep this podcast or this video to 20 minutes. So we're going to add more as, we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. So we're going to add more as we go along. I keep doing this thing. Let's see, we're at 15 minutes now. How do we climb our way out? How do we get the hell out of here? Because these are the trenches, this is the ghetto, and I need to get out. Awareness. Awareness, awareness, awareness. We cannot change what we are not aware of. So we need to see how it's impacting every aspect of our lives. And it's a personal audit. And it may be really uncomfortable, but you need to do it. Everywhere you go, whatever you're doing, try to be mindful. Try for the next few days. Try to see, okay, am I going to the gym? If I'm going to the gym, am I looking around? Am I like looking for my crush? Am I changing the times that I go to the gym to be around my crush? Am I dressing in a certain way? Am I dressing in ways that maybe are not comfortable for me, but I'm dressing because I think it'll be important, it'll be like valuable for the male gaze, which, am I, when I am, for example, I'm hanging out with my friends, are we only talking about guys? Are we only talking about people we've dated? Are we only talking about heartbreak? Are we only talking about situationships? If I look at the past few months, what have I accomplished in my life? What have I gotten done? And if I've spent most of my time complaining about men, or thinking about men, or thinking about getting in a relationship, or thinking about the guy you're in a situationship with, or thinking about the guy who's not pouring in enough, but you're trying to make it work, you're wasting your time. And I keep saying that, but it's so disrespectful to yourself to be wasting your time like this. So first thing is awareness, okay? And obviously this is starting steps. So for starting steps, be gentle with your awareness, understanding, like realizing when it's coming up, realizing when you're kind of shifting your behavior around men, or when you're not listening or not heeding red flags just because you're so desperate. You're so desperate to be with a man. Desperation is dangerous. Desperation leads you to be taken advantage of. Okay? Then, what I want you to do is I want you to recognize that you are full of love. That you are so full of love that you don't even know. You might not be tapped into it, but you are. And this love, like, if you care about love so much, this is a question I'm going to pose to you. Why do we care so much about romantic love and not so much, and not like the same amount of like energy or focus is put towards platonic love or familial love? Let's think about that a little bit. Imagine if you poured the energy that you're pouring into these men, or into the idea of a man, idea of a relationship. Imagine if you poured that energy, that precious, precious energy, into your family. It doesn't matter if you have if you in your family and your friends, like let's say you have two friends. Instead of talking to your situationship, you could end it with your fucking situationship and pour that energy into hanging out with your friend, developing stronger bonds, talking about things, co-regulating with your friend, co-creating with your friend. Maybe grab a couple canvases and some paints and go to a park and paint with your friends. Pour into other people who are already pouring into you. Don't wait for some other, illusory person who may or may not come. Don't wait for that person to pour in to, because there are people who literally exist in your life who could benefit from you pouring into them. And this, I will say, had an insane effect in my life. I feel like my friendships got so much stronger. I became a better person because I realized that how self-involved of me to wait for a person that doesn't even exist yet, to wait for this person that is supposed, because the reason that we want to wait for this person is because we want them to pour into us too, right? we want our needs met too, right? So it's a very selfish thing. We're just waiting for this kind of, like, I don't know. We're just waiting for this person to come into our life, this person who may or may not come into our life, in order for us to pour all of our energy into that person. And we're pouring it into an empty bucket, basically, because there's nobody there. And when they are there, they're not worth it. Let's be honest, they're not worth it for the most part. And like, let's not be no nuance Nellies, right? We know that some men are great men. But for the most part, I don't know. So, strengthening your other forms of connections will be really important in this process, because we need to fill ourselves up with the love that exists. We need to touch people. We need to touch our friends. We need to hug our friends. We need to kiss our friends. We need to hug our family. We need to not be touch starved. We need to not be love starved in order to not be desperate. Okay? So, kind of in conclusion, there's so much to talk about here, but I don't want to keep going on and on, but centering your life around a relationship can feel really natural. It feels like it's what we're supposed to do, right? If we're high value women, we're supposed to focus on finding a high value man to build with. Build what? Build what? Build what? Build it on your own. Okay, and then I think the next video I'm going to talk about is how to bring out of yourself your passions, your purpose that have been dormant for so long because your passion and your purpose has been a man. That's another video for another time. But just take a moment to reflect. And take a moment to get angry. Get really upset. Because months, maybe years, maybe decades of your life have been stolen. And for what? For a fantasy? For a fantasy. Okay? I think as women, it's so important for us to come into our power, to understand that we have so much creative energy within us. And if we don't have a purpose or a mission, that creative energy, that energy of love, that energy of service will go wherever if it's not focused. And because of our obsession in our kind of conditioning to view romantic relationships as this like ultimate happiness pill, we focus in on that. And it keeps the other parts of our lives barren and not fulfilling and colorless. So, my call to action for you for this week is every day for the next week or so, if you can, which I know you can, but if you want to, is the question. If you want to, spend 10 minutes quiet. And maybe like when you wake up and you're still in bed, spend 10 minutes of it just laying in bed, or 5 minutes of it just laying in bed. Listen to yourself. We've not been told to listen to ourselves. You don't know what your mission is, maybe. You don't know where your passion is. You don't know what your purpose is because you've been focused so much on men. But also because you haven't taken the time to sit with yourself and ask yourself what you want. And quiet your mind, quiet the distractions, and actually sit and hear yourself. Have a meeting with yourself. So I want you to spend some time in silence, 5 minutes minimum. And then journal. Like literally a page. Just write a page. Just write a page, free form, whatever is coming into your mind, just write it down. Okay? It's not like after one time of doing this, you're going to come up like there's going to be an epiphany. The point of doing this is to get in touch with who you are, getting to know yourself better, getting to know what you crave, what your purpose is. And through doing this, through building a strong relationship with yourself, you can start to revalue yourself and your path and escape the trap, because it really is a trap. Yeah, there's so much more to say, but I mean, I don't know how to fit all of this in like the 30 minutes that I have. But yeah, man, that's all I have to say for right now. I think um you have a lot to offer to this world, and I don't want you to waste your life pouring into a man who's just a man. And I love men, but they're just men. They're just men. They're not saviors. They're not going to save us. They're not going to give us everything that we need because they're human. They're men. So, anyways, that's that. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you for listening to Don't Mind the Mess, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. I'll be posting every Monday. And yeah, I'm tired now. Ooh. Bye.